All right, Ryan Deakin, what's up?
What's up, guys?
Is this your first guest podcast? You've been on a few, I'm sure.
Been on a couple, but you guys got a great name. I was thinking about that. How'd you guys come up with this?
I I was sitting on a bus last year and I wanted to do a podcast so bad and I couldn't really I don't know, the names kind of came in my head. I kind of wanted to it's kind of we're just doing Instagram lives right now, but when I was thinking of it, I kind of wanted to just go beyond the stereotype of wrestlers are just jocks that beat up each other and like we got smart dudes in wrestling. We're gonna get into that with you. But that's what I wanted to showcase. So that's where it came from, and I guess it was our first one we've done that's not on live. So hopefully it goes well.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
All
Yeah.
right.
I remember when you told me the name, I was like, I don't know, I was just so pumped. I was like, that's perfect. Like, let's
I,
do it.
I sent
Let's
it to
start
What
the page right now.
what if you wrestle but you don't have cauliflower ear? Can you come on the podcast?
your week. No, I'm just kidding. You can. Um, Actually, I told my mom about the name and she wanted to change it to like instead of Y's, like WY apostrophe S, like my name. That's too many plays on words, so I didn't do that. But we got a little introduction for you here. Probably don't need one, right? If you don't know who Ryan Deacon is, read a book or something. Uh, went to Northwestern, four-time All-American, obviously won a national title in 2022, Hodge Trophy finalist that year, three-time Big Ten champ, finished with a record of 109 and 14, right?
Yep.
On the freestyle scene, junior world bronze 2017, and then U.S. Open champ 2019. So a lot of accomplishments. Did I miss anything? Anything you want to add to that?
No, you're all good. I appreciate it. Thanks.
And then on the academic side of things, right? Graduated with your degree in economics in 2020,
Yep.
master's in management studies the year after that, and then grad certificate in specialized studies. What is specialized studies? Is that just a
That's
year vessel?
that's a great question. So it was a great transition from so the master's program, it's a really cool program. It was MSMS, so it was a Master of Science in Management Studies for my fifth year. And then once that was done, that counted as a first year of an MBA. So I was like, hey, I went to admissions. I'm like, hey, can I just do my second year of an MBA? And they're like, absolutely not. You need two to 3 years of work experience to get something out of this. Um, so you can't go right into it. I'm like, well, it's COVID, like special case. So I just did a grad certificate, which was like going from, all these tough classes in a master's program and then going to like a certificate. It was kind of sweet, dude. It was like the last year of college where um it was all online. I was three classes, we're in quarters. So it was three classes in the fall and then one in the winter. So I had one class. I finished the Friday of nationals. And then I was just done with school after nationals. So it was sweet. It was like more well-rounded degree, right? It was a lot more like marketing and stuff that I didn't do those as analytical with like my master's program. But yeah, it was definitely a lot easier. And I think going from like a harder program to an easier program, it felt even easier.
Especially in your last year. I'm going through that right now. Like, so,
Yeah,
I mean, you still got to put a little bit of time into school, but you can
it's a
really
victory lap.
it's a victory lap. Actually, my first point I wanted to talk about was wrestling at like a highly academic institution, right? Northwestern is known for its academics. It's not an Ivy League school, but obviously it's really prestigious. Talk about like navigating that. Like as a freshman, I'm sure it's more difficult. Talk about how you had to balance like school and wrestling and everything with that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you understand it, right? Like as a student athlete, it's a full-time job. You got to get good at time management. Like I remember my first econ class, first quarter of college, I'm taking, calc, econ, Spanish. Like Spanish is my easy classes. I'm feeling good about those. And then I take these econ tests, these calc tests. I'm like, oh crap, this is a lot too. So I think it's just you kind of get hit in the face that first quarter and then you figure it out. Northwestern, they helped us out a lot. Like we had a whole like student athlete tutor system. So like early on, if you need help in a class, you sign up for some tutors and you get help. You stay after with teachers. A lot of upperclassmen on teammates that have taken those classes were, nice enough to kind of help walk through some stuff. And then I think it's like anything, you start doing it and then it becomes your new normal and you get good at it. I don't think it gets easier. You just kind of get better at it. And I don't know, when you're around a bunch of people that are doing it, it's like this is impossible, but then you see everybody else doing it, you're like, all right, why can't I do this? And you figure it out. So I don't know, man. I think it's kind of trial by fire. You're around a bunch of cool like people that are doing great. And so like, why not me? And you just kind of figure it out slowly but surely. Um, and quite honestly, like there are a little bit easier majors. Like sometimes there's some really hard majors, right? And then there's some easier majors you can take too. One like Northwestern specific path, like econ was tough. And like first quarter, we're all like getting bad grades on the first midterms. Um, and kind of like the way to drop that is to go to LOC and it's learning and organizational change where I had some teammates that would go down and it's not that it's like a bad degree, right? It's a good degree, but it's a lot less math heavy, a lot more papers. And so, you could navigate and be smart about how you navigate that if you wanted, but I kind of was just a little stubborn and like I'm gonna try to figure out this econ thing and then I had teammates that are engineers or pre med and stuff like that and I'm like they're doing 10 times more than what I was doing. So I don't know. It's kind of like anything you figure it out, right? Like I'm sure you guys have had those tough classes you take and you're in the middle of season, you're cutting weight, you're traveling and it sucks, but you're just like, you know what? Find out how to do it, figure out a way and get it done.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I was gonna say I feel like a lot of it, especially when you're a freshman, is like learning how to. I don't know about you guys, but like when I was in high school, like homework, like you just come home and like you get home from practice, you have dinner, maybe do like 30, 40 minutes of homework, you're good. Like I feel like when you get into college, it's like really learning to invest, like not only during class time, but like outside the classroom. Like you have to be willing to invest time if you want to figure it out. I feel like that's like a big learning curve for like a lot of guys who come in is like learning to invest that time instead of just like sitting around at the dorms with your buddies, you know?
Yeah. It's weird too, because you have a lot more free time, right? Like high school, I don't know, is like 8 hours, 9 hours straight.
Yeah,
Um, where like college, you're like, oh, I got like a 2 hour window here. I can go sit on the couch or hang out with somebody, or I can like open up my laptop and do 2 hours of homework before my next class. And so learning, I definitely didn't do it perfect all the time, but learning how to navigate that, like you said, I mean, it's like you just got to figure out how to do it and be productive with your time. I think that's why like employers like to hire student athletes. Like you got to get good at time management and it's a tough skill. And I think though, I don't know about, I'd be curious what you guys think. I got my best grades on like the busiest parts of season because you had no, there's no room to mess around where when it's out of season, you got a little more time. You're like, I can put this paper off. I'll do it tomorrow.
100%. Like Northern State's no Northwestern, but like when I'm in season, I just feel like I have such a set schedule that like it just becomes routine after a while. You don't have to force yourself to go do homework. Like you're not gonna go out and do anything else, so you might as well just do your homework while you can.
exactly. Yeah, I think it's definitely routine. Like when you're busy and you know you have to get stuff done, if you make a routine and stick to it, like it just makes it a lot easier. Also, I read this thing, I don't know if it's true, but apparently your brain retains information better when you're like cutting weight. I don't know if this is true or not. Someone said it to me once. Maybe that's why I do better. Who knows? But
If you believe it, it's true. That's
yeah, there you
placebo.
go. That's the secret, right?
So you go from Northwestern, um, right to Stanford, right? As soon as you're done with college, you go to Stanford. What was that like? I guess just from a standpoint of you go from being a really high level athlete to a coach at another prestigious academic school. What was that transition like? Just going from athlete to coach, and you're still young. I'm sure you were wrestling a lot, so just touch on that if you would.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was really cool, man. I feel like that last year was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of stressful your last semester, last quarter of college, because you're like, okay, I'm going to the real world next. Um, and I was just like, you know what? I came back for this last year. I'm gonna do it the right way. So I'm like, I'm not looking past this season. I'll figure it out once nationals are done. Because I think it's pretty easy to, especially in wrestling, like after college, there's no folk style wrestling. So it's easy to get in that mindset of like, this is pointless. Um, this skill isn't going to transfer to another level. Like I'm done. There's a brick wall at the end of this tunnel. Um, where in high school you're like, okay, cool, state's coming up, but I'm going to keep training after that, and then I'm going to go to college, and then I'm going to keep going. So it's kind of like to be in a good mindset, I'm like, I'm not looking past this. I'm just going to enjoy this, and put everything I can into it, even though like turns on top and getting out on bottom probably isn't going to help me at all in freestyle. And so I think it was a little stressful. My girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now, she played soccer at Northwestern. And so we're kind of trying to figure out our life too, right? We've been dating like probably 3 years at the time, and we're like, let's figure out this next step together, go to the same place. Um, and what she does is pretty niche too, pretty specific. And so she's kind of like asking me, like, hey, like, what do you want to do? Where are we going to go? Like, how can we figure this out? And I'm like, hold on, wait, like, I'm waiting until after nationals. And to her credit, like she waited and we figured it out after, took spring break, hung out, and then spent, a couple months until graduation in June. Um, to kind of figure out our stuff. And I was taking a bunch of trips, looking at RTCs. My plan was to keep competing. I'd been on the national team for 3 years. I, fell short a couple times. I was like second on the ladder for a world team. I was like, I'm just going to keep competing. Um, and looked at a couple different places. And then out of the blue, Rob Cole called me and he was like, hey man, you want to come coach at Stanford? And I was like, I'm not really looking to coach. I just want to compete. And he's like, I just need you to sit in a chair, help me recruit. And you do whatever you want after that. Just do your training, do all that. I was like, okay. And my wife just happened to be in a second round interview with a neuroscience lab at Stanford, for her job. And so like it's kind of weird, like stars kind of aligned. I don't know if you guys are like Christians or anything, but I was like, I don't know. I just really think everything happens for a reason. It was like God's plan. And yeah, it just kind of fell in our lap. She had an awesome opportunity at Stanford. And it's like, for what she wants to do, to work at Stanford for 2 years in a clinical lab doing, or in a neuroscience lab doing clinical research, was like a huge opportunity for her. And I'm like, this is an awesome school for me to go and keep competing and training and dip my toes in coaching. So, and she's originally from that area, so had a bunch of her family out there. And so we just like made the decision, packed up, and it was like one thing led to another, and suddenly we're driving across the country from Chicago to California. So that was sweet. It was really cool. And then I got there and, was training a lot and was getting pulled a lot of different ways. And I think it's doable, but it's really tough. And you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage with trying to compete and trying to coach at the same time. I think they're really conflicting in a sense of like, one, you're being really selfish with your training, and one, you're being really selfless with your coaching. And it's tough, and I think that wrestling's a tough enough sport that you don't need to put yourself at a disadvantage there. Um, the RTC wasn't exactly the same as what I thought when I got out there. Had a couple guys that were like going to be great training partners for me that ended up going other places that were good situations for them. Um, and it just wasn't the right situation, and kind of took a step back, looked at everything, and was like, this is an amazing place. There's some awesome things going on here. And like, honestly, I just think to be competitive at a high level, it's really important to like go, wrestle freestyle full time, kind of, and like just honestly, like Michigan and Penn State probably have the right situations where you have a lot of training partners, you have full time practices that you're not, doing folk style. I'm not saying you can't do that. There's people that do it and do awesome. But I think it's the harder path. You're wrestling against guys that are training freestyle full time. Um, and kind of fell in love with the coaching part on accident. Like it was really cool. Felt like I related well to everybody. I'm a year out of college. I understood what they're going through. Academically, I felt like it was the same type of kids at Northwestern where I don't know, it just felt like my old team, but I'm like in this higher responsibility role now. And so I was like, wow, this is kind of really cool. I didn't think I'd enjoy this like I did. And so kind of just went full time into coaching. And that's kind of how I got there on accident.
That's awesome. I think you just kind of perfectly described like I know it's what I'm going through. I'm sure Braden's the same. He's we're the same age. We're done after this year. I get asked all the time like what are you doing after this year? But like, dude, I still got a season I got to take care of. Like,
Yeah.
Up.
don't ask me what I'm gonna do in man, I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Um, I didn't plan on talking about this, but this is something that like I've been thinking about. I feel like you probably have good insight on it. I know Brayden also has probably thought about it, but like what happens when you're officially retired from wrestling, right? Do you have plans to come back?
No, I'm not, never say never. Maybe I'll come to like a Masters Worlds when I'm 65 years old, but no, I'm retired. I'm just helping out coaching now.
There's like there's always something with like college athletes, like when it's all said and done, like how do you deal with that? Um,
Yeah.
it's just a change of pace, something I've been thinking about a lot. Like
Yeah.
obviously I know my worth's not in wrestling and stuff like that, but like how do you deal with that? Because everything kind of turns upside down when you're so used to that routine.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, man. And like I'll tell you what's helped me, and also like at the same time, I'm an idiot and I'm probably still going through it. So maybe ask somebody, 10 years older than me too. Um, but I think you got to find like I think the exciting part, like the silver lining of it, is you're like reinventing yourself as something different, which I think is kind of cool because you're not going to wrestle for your whole life. It's an amazing opportunity. Um, and I'm more interested now in like the life lessons that wrestling teaches, and like the type of leaders it builds, and like helping, kids mold them into, strong human beings and leaders through a sport, and to be resilient. Because I think if you don't let those transfer to other aspects of your life, um, it's not all for nothing, but it's like strongly wasted. And so I think you got to find something else that you enjoy. I think most wrestlers like are kind of like all in or all out. And I'm trying to kind of figure out balance too. And it was weird for me because I was like out of wrestling, but like last 2 years I was in wrestling. It was like coaching's awesome, man. You're basically in a college season, you're traveling all the time. The only thing that's like sucks is you're not competing, but you're also like not cutting weight. You're having a good time on these trips. Like it's fun. It's a great time. Um, so I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think I still need something like to get my body moving every day. I think the everyday work of like sitting down at a desk and like typing on a computer all day. Not that that's every job, but most people are going to be a lot more sedentary than, when you're competing and when you're a college athlete. Um, so I think finding like little hobbies, finding new things, finding different things you can, and different goals. So I'm interested in like building other skill sets in my life right now. I feel like that was, you know, trying to use degrees from school and trying to continue to stay around wrestling in some capacity because I think it's a great sport. And, I just moved to Colorado in August, helping out at a wrestling club still because I don't want to get too far from the sport, but also, um, I don't have the time to like a college coach where I'm wrestling, 6, 7 days a week and traveling and doing it full time. So, I don't think I really answered your question. I think it's different for everybody. I think some people start like competing. I got a lot of buddies that like do jujitsu now and like just kind of trade one vice for another. And I think, um, I don't know. I think you're gonna have to find something physical, but also don't. I think wrestling becomes kind of an obsessive thing, and it's good to like take a step back from that and be like, hey, that was an awesome time in my life. It was a great time because I had all the time in the world. I could do that. I didn't have all these responsibilities. I could put everything into it. But I also think it's really cool, like having that balance of, being able to go do more social stuff, being able to take more trips, being able to like work on different business projects, being able to go play pickleball because it's Tuesday and you don't have to go to wrestling practice, or you're tired today and you can sleep in an extra hour. Like it's just different, man. But then it's also like you got that mind in the back of your head, like, don't get soft.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you got to test yourself too, I think. And I don't know, find your crew outside of wrestling.
That's a good answer. That's kind of what I was looking for. Yeah, I feel like also part of it is kind of just like if having no regrets, does that make sense? Like if you like truly gave everything you had to it at the end of the day, you can be happy with like what you accomplished, even if it wasn't what you wanted. And you don't have to like look back and wish you could go back and change things. Like you can just be happy with how the things ended. I
Yeah.
think part of it too, like a lot
Yeah.
of the people that really struggle, like they have regrets. That's something
Yeah.
that I would try to get across to people too.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I think, but I, I think wrestling as a whole, like people put way too much pressure on end of year like results instead of looking at like a career as a whole or like a season as a whole. Um, And I get it. I do the same thing. Like, okay, who cares? Like, I've never asked what somebody's record is. It's like what they place. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
100%.
but at the same time, and I don't know if I'd have a different perspective with that if I didn't finish, winning a national title my last year. Um, Maybe I'd be kind of bitter about it. Maybe I'd still be competing right now. Like I think that's why it was easier for me to let go of competing. So I was like, I kind of did what I wanted to do. Um, I would like to keep competing. I love wrestling, but also I think there's trade-offs, and it gets to a point where it's like training this much and doing all this stuff, like you're kind of taking a lot of years of your life away where you could be building other skills that are going to carry you for your career. And if that's worth it to you, that's worth it to you. And for a while it was for me. And then I found a point where I was like, I think I'm ready for something new. Um, and I think, like you said, it's like the no regrets. It's like, how much you put into it and how much you truly did. And I think you got to live with that. And I mean, I got buddies too that are like they can't get away from it. They keep trying to come back. I think a lot of people that get injured, they make some of the best coaches because they can't get away from the sport. They're trying to like I don't know, get some years back that they didn't have through somebody else or something, and in a positive way usually. But I don't know, man. I think living with no regrets is also a mindset, and at some point you're gonna have to accept something because not many people get out of this game unscathed.
Yeah.
Percent. What's so you touched on it, you got out of wrestling. What are you doing now? You got I know you got a podcast that's doing really well. You said you're coaching a little bit. What else? What's work life like?
Yeah. I just started a new job a couple months ago. I'm like a financial analyst for a healthcare company. So it's been really cool. I've always been interested in that stuff. That's why I did like, finance, econ, um, in school. I think I'm interested in businesses in general. Our podcast, Iron Summit, it's been fun. Like it's been interesting to see and kind of learn new skills like building a brand, social media marketing, different business things, different business ventures that we're working on, partnering with different people, different companies. That's still like a hobby at this point. I think we're building it a lot, but it's like we still have full-time jobs. And I think the coolest part of that is like I enjoy weightlifting now. Like my new physical activity went from wrestling. I still wrestle with a wrestling club out here, but it's not for me. I'm not, I'm coaching wrestling. I'm showing technique, and I'll wrestle with guys and defend shots, but I'm not trying to uh go beat a 15-year-old in a wrestling match. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's been fun. We've been playing pickleball with some of our couple friends out here. I grew up in Colorado, so I got a lot of buddies in the area, just like, going out and grabbing coffee, going out and doing stuff, a lot of hikes. Skiing, snowboarding's been fun. I want to get into uh like climbing some 14ers and stuff. Just went hunting with my brother. Like just all this stuff that I didn't do growing up because I was busy with wrestling. Just trying to find new hobbies and trying to find new things. We just got a dog that's been taking up a lot of time. So I don't know, man. I'm still kind of in that phase of finding a new routine, just kind of being in a new place. And it's been a busy last, like, got married in July, moved like honeymoon, moved in August, new job started, and moved to a new place, got a dog. Like it's just been a whirlwind last couple months. So we're just kind of finally settling down, finding some new routines.
And you still found time for us.
Yeah, I love it. I was gonna say, I feel like you made a really good point on like trying to like you're trying all these new things. I kind of had a similar experience when I went home over this break, like being home. I've got friends who are married, friends who are just engaged. I'm in college, so I got kids who are just coming out of high school, trying to figure out
Yeah.
life. So you see like both ends of the spectrum. But like it was really cool to like see all my friends like, they've all got these different hobbies or new things that they're doing with like their wife or their kid. So like even though I'm not done yet, I'm still like really focused. I kind of felt like that, like, oh wow, like now that I'm not gonna be so busy, there are like all these other things that like I can go try out. Like for the first time, I went bouldering with like one of my best friends, and I'd never been
Cool.
bouldering before, but like it was super fun. I was like, dang, like there's just all these things I've never had time for that like once once I'm done with wrestling and competing, like I can have the opportunity to kind of explore those routes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I don't know, something I've thought about a lot too. I heard somebody talking about this where they're like you can be like not like he's like I've accepted I want to be like 90% good at things now. I don't want to be all in on one thing. But you also kind of start to realize like there's a lot of things when you can do anything, you're like, what do I want to do? But there's trade-offs to it too. It's like if you like bouldering and that's all you want to do, or like you could pick like two or three things. But if you're like, I want to boulder, I want to snowboard, I want to get really good at rock climbing, I want to, be a phenomenal basketball player and then continue to do jujitsu on the side. Like you can't do that. So you still got to prioritize stuff. Um, but I think it's just like it's not as serious and it's weird for it to be that way. But yeah, I think college is a really, really cool time. Enjoy the heck out of that. And then you'll have a really, really cool time after it too. Cause I think we got phases in life. Like I think after college, you got like some work phases, some new hobby phases, and maybe like kids phases, and then you're a grandparent and you got a different phase, and then you're retired, and then I don't know. There's a bunch of different phases, and so it's like enjoying and getting the most out of each phase. It's kind of how I look at it.
You said you got it. You're getting into hunting.
Dude, I'm trying. So my brother's a big hunter and fisher. I just got my first big game animal like 2 weeks ago. We went antelope hunting. Um, and dude, I had some antelope steak today for lunch. It was phenomenal. It's just like I know it's kind of off-putting for some people, I guess. But dude, it was sweet. Like it's really cool to I don't know if hunting is like fun. It's like rewarding. It's kind of like wrestling. Like you wake up at
Yeah.
you're crawling through like the woods and getting stickers all over you. You're sneaking up on an animal and they take off, and then you do it again the next day and just trying to get close enough for a shot. And I don't know. I think it's really cool. And I also just like nutritionally, it's like it's a sweet way to fill the freezer. And there's something about it that's like it's cool eating something that you killed and not just going, to the supermarket and getting it from some guy that, butchered some cow that was, I don't know, in a 4 foot pen. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, I just got Braden was with me. I just got my first deer like a
Let's
couple
go.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. There is something to it. Like you kill it, you get to eat it yourself. Dude, that's so like satisfying the nutrition and in the nutrition. Like that's for the big part of why I shot it. But yeah, it's fun. That's definitely something like I'm gonna do more of, I feel like in the future.
Yeah,
I'll be
that's
honest.
what
I don't know if I ever saw Wyatt that excited. When he
I
put that
love
deer
it.
down, he was pumped.
Dude, it's
How far was it?
oh I don't know.
I don't.
I
It
took
wasn't too far.
no, it wasn't far. I took one shot, so
Nice.
uh
Nice.
yeah, it was fun. I want to talk about nutrition. That's a good segue.
Okay.
I'm sure you get talked about this a lot. Like, how did you make 157? You're a big guy. I thought maybe it was just like the little Spencer Lee effect on TV. Then we met you in real life. You are that big. So how did you manage that in college? Yeah,
Yeah.
just weekly.
Yeah, I think I did everything wrong under the sun in high school, probably. But I think it taught me discipline. Like, I'm not like this huge proponent of cutting weight. I think it's important. It's part of the sport. You need to be at a good, healthy weight class where you feel good and you're strong. Um, Past that, if it's detrimental to your gas tank, you don't feel good, you don't recover, um, don't do it. Don't overdo it. I think you can tell the people that cut weight in high school and those that didn't because, like, just honestly, there's some people in college that just struggle to cut weight and they just perform horribly when they're sucked up. And I think that's like I don't know. People have different ways, but I think there's like a mental toughness aspect that you build and you callous over years and years of doing it. Um, and in high school, it's like, it'd run and not eat food. So worst way to do it. You hardly lose any weight. You feel awful and you take forever to recover, but you can kind of get away with it because you're wrestling high school kids. Um, and then I got to college and had some great coaches, great nutritionists. I felt like we had nutritionists that actually kind of understood the sport because most nutritionists are like, hey, you need a fuel for recovery, you need a fuel to feel good, you're burning a bunch of calories. Like, yeah, if I eat what you're telling me to eat, I will never make weight. So
Yeah.
I think that like we brought in like it was cool. We had a UFC nutritionist come into. We had our nutritionist that understood this and worked with us. And then coaches too. And our coaches have been through it. They understand it. And so I kind of learned as the years went on, how to fuel my body, how to feel good with, less than optimal amount of fuel. And then I think most people that I've seen that have bad cuts, they try to do it like throughout the whole week. I don't think that's a great way to do it. Like stay lean where you're, over. I would never blow up 30 pounds in the off season. Um, some people do it, works for them. I just felt like it was hard on my system. And I don't know, after 2 weeks after season, after eating like crap, you just kind of don't feel good. And you kind of go back to pretty close to, 10 or 15 pounds over your weight anyways. Um, so I was always trying to be 6 to 10 pounds over day before, and then knowing I could get that off in 2 workouts. And so it was clean throughout the week, but it was like high volume, low calorie. And then the day before a weigh-in, it was like low volume in terms of weight, high calorie stuff. So getting as many calories as I can for the littlest amount of weight as possible. Try not to burn off a bunch of muscle while you're cutting weight. And then obviously you got to manipulate your water. Um, I think water loading, I'm naturally sweat a lot. And then, I was probably drinking 2 gallons a day, and your body's just used to flushing it out. So you come out of a practice losing 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds. And then when you're sucked up, it's less. But knowing I was 2 workouts out, we do a good hard workout. I lose probably at that point, 6 or 7 pounds in an hour workout. And then that night I go back and do some cardio and run and get another couple off, float the next whatever and make weight. So I don't know. I think I just got better at it over time. I had a lot of great coaches, great nutritionists, and I learned my body, what could make me feel good. I found my number ranges where I felt good. I definitely have overdone it before where I was like, my legs wouldn't move, and you just got to figure it out in the middle of your first match. And some guys are in tough situations. You got a tough guy at your weight, and you go down a weight or you go up a weight, or just moving around. Like I had some teammates that they were too big for their weight class, but like if they wanted to start, they were just going to have to wrestle that weight class, and they were huge for it. And so you try to shrink your body. I think part of that too, it's a long season. You got to make sure you're feeling good and like recovering, ice baths, good sleep, quality food instead of just a bunch of junk. Um, and yeah, I think just taking care of your body by 6 months into a season, the wrestling season's so long, so many guys are so beat up. And I think it's cutting weight. It's, that little bit of an injury just over time just like stacks up in the long term. You guys all know it. You guys all do it.
Yeah.
There's yeah, I think there's also just a lot of like misinformation out there about cutting weight from people that have never cut weight. Like last year we had a nutritionist come in and tell us that we need to be eating 5,000 calories a day in season. And
Which
what the
is which is probably right if you didn't have to make weight. Like
Yeah.
you're probably
Yeah.
burning that, but you got to make weight. And the other thing that people don't talk about too, your metabolism adapts over time.
Hmm.
So if you're working out a bunch and you start cutting your calories low, you slow your metabolism.
Hmm.
And so then by the end of it, like you have to eat such a small amount, otherwise you will like retain a bunch of weight. And so I think it's important to not do that for a super long period of time too, and be smart about how you refeed and like on these Christmas breaks, like being able to kind of reset your metabolism. We had guys that would run 3, 4 miles a day, and then they'd be eating, like 1,800 calories. And that 3, 4 miles was on top of a practice and a lift every day. And so it's like you're burning so many calories and you're taking in nothing. You're just wasting away all your muscle, and then it's hard for you to make weight. So I think you got to be smart about that too.
Did you like use anything in college or even now to like track stuff like that? Like I use a Whoop. I like it a lot. Especially for the sleep and recovery and stuff.
Did you call it a whoop?
Yeah, what do you call it?
A whoop?
I'm from South Dakota. Oh, you got one too?
I didn't have one of these when I was competing. Um, I track stuff. I had a Garmin and that you could track sleep, and I think I didn't do it as much as I probably should have in college. But at the same time, I think while I was competing, I didn't want to get too obsessive over that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I always made sure I got enough protein, trying to keep muscle on, and then fuel and carbs around workouts. So if I was like low calories, make sure most of my fuel went around those workouts, so I felt good. Um, Caffeine, like being smart about it, but using caffeine to give you those boosts when you feel like crap and you're under fueled in terms of calories. Um, I'd try to, make sure I was at least 8 hours of sleep a night. And then I'd take a nap just about every day. I'd figure out my class schedule to where, we'd have a morning workout. I'd have a class or two. I'd come home, eat lunch, take a quick nap, wake up, grab some fuel, and go to a second practice. Um, so I try to do all that stuff right. And it slowly, like, I think over time got better, but I wasn't like writing down everything I ate. I think my excuse is like, you don't know every day, like each practice, you're burning different amounts of calories. But I think it can be definitely helpful. And then especially in the off season, if you're trying to lose or gain weight. Um, but it's tough when you're like traveling and you don't really know what you're putting in your body as much, or I don't know. Some people are definitely too obsessive to track, I think, with a sport. So you kind of got to know yourself. I think I probably should have done it a little bit more than I did.
Yeah, I think there was a time last year where I just took it off and I didn't wear it the rest of the year. Uh, this year I mostly do it for sleep now.
Yeah.
I like to see that kind of stuff. I like to see like heart rate variability, resting heart rate. So my numbers are crazy if you want to compare them. But
Send me a screenshot.
I, I had an all-time high today, heart rate variability.
What is it?
Not that good. It was like 143 or something.
See, I that sounds good. It means nothing to me. I check my Whoop like probably once a week. Um, I don't know. I think I like data because I just like data, but I also think there's something to be said, like sometimes you just got to wake up and go,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm kind of torn. I like taking that information in, but I'm more interested in like my end of year Whoop wrapped, like what were my trends over the whole year.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of studies too that's like it could be up to 25% off. But at the same time, I'm like, if it's tracking you the same way every day, even if it's off, you're still getting general trends. So that's helpful. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with it. I have one. I probably should look at it more than I do, but I think it's really cool all the stuff we can do. And I bet in 10 years it's gonna be really cool. All the stuff we can track.
I'll be done with it in 10 years. I might throw it away.
I was gonna say, careful, you guys are about to sell me on Whoop over here. I don't got one yet, but I might have one after this podcast.
Tell them to sponsor us.
Yes, seriously, that'd be sweet. Get you a little discount code.
That would be pretty nice.
So I
That's
guess
it.
last thing I got for notes, just talk about, like you said, your podcast right now is just kind of a hobby. It's more based around like strength, like fitness, right? Just general fitness stuff.
Ye-
Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we're like trying to help people like our tagline, like maximizing life through health and fitness. I think I don't know, man. I think just like we talked about phases in life, I think there's phases of fitness. And like right now, I'm trying to put on as much muscle mass as possible because I know it's gonna be a lot harder when I'm older. But like my end goal is to feel good and move well when I'm old, being able to pick up my grandkids when I'm, 85 years old. Like that's my end goal. And I think as stuff changes, in my life that like different fitness stuff will change. I think the coolest thing is like we can do amazing things with our bodies, and so it's like really important to take care of that. Anybody that's ever sick knows like when you don't feel good, it's the worst thing ever. So just I think it's something me and my co-founder and our partners are passionate about, and I think health and fitness has improved my life greatly. It's something I want to always have at the forefront of my mind. I think it's like a basic necessity, and we don't look at it that way in this country a little bit sometimes. Um, and I think it just improves every aspect of your life. And it's something that you can't fake, you can't buy it. Like you got to show up every single day and do it. And I think that there's just the amount of health benefits you have. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be, jacked, six pack, lean year round. Like I think people take it overboard all the time where it's probably not healthy. Um, I think it's a hobby of mine, and I think that when you feel good, you live longer, healthier, better life. Your quality of life is so much better, not just, living to 100, sitting in a wheelchair for the last 20 years of your life.
Yeah, I think there's also just a lot of same thing with weight cutting. Like there's so much information out there. You kind of just gotta like find what works for you. And like I can't tell you what that is, but I think it's cool that you guys are putting stuff out there for everyone. And like you said, and like with the end in mind when you're 80, not you don't want to be running intervals on an incline treadmill until you're 75. Like you want
Yeah.
to figure some stuff out in different phases of your life. So That's cool.
I was gonna ask, like, I know you said you're kind of doing this as like a hobby right now, but I swear almost everybody I know, whether they're in finances or accounting or business, they usually tend to like turn things into like a bigger business. Is that like, do you plan to upscale your brand at all, or are you just kind of having it as a hobby for now and worry about that in the future?
Yeah, honestly, I say it's a hobby. Like maybe that's me just kind of not putting pressure on it, but it's like I enjoy it. It's been fun. We're definitely like net positive on it. We have like profitable path. We're already profitable. It's not like we have a high burn rate. We're working with, over 100 athletes right now and continuing to upscale that. When you guys are done with your stuff, would love to get you guys on some training plans. We get some really cool software, some cool sponsors. Um, it's when I say it's a hobby, it's like I wouldn't be able to support myself on just doing this alone, you know?
Yeah.
I thought about it for a second. I was like, should I, when I'm transitioning here, should I go all in on this? But having a wife and having a little bit of stability is nice too. And um, it's cool. I think we're doing building it the right way. It's going to take some time. I think just like wrestling, you want to get really good at a double leg tomorrow, but it's probably a, 5, 7, 8, 9 year path to do it correctly and really just get that volume. So I think trying to consistently do it, consistently put in the reps and get better and find different ways to improve it little by little every day. And I think the coolest thing about it is like I'm just passionate about it. I think helping people reach their health and fitness goals where they feel their best, look their best, and perform their best, whether that's for a sport or so that you're the most jacked dad on the beach. Like both are great to me, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Sick plug.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that question. What about
Yeah,
you
of
guys? Where
course.
where where do you see this going?
I don't like I kind of just referring back to the first thing we were talking about. Like I don't know where I'm gonna be after March of this year, but like
Yeah.
it's just something I can put a lot more time into in the future. I wish were like doing Zooms earlier because I've had like really good guys on the Instagram Live. Like I had Reese Humphrey join,
Yeah.
Jesse Gilkey. I've had like some really well known names in the wrestling world join. I don't know. I just want to have fun with it. Like it's really cool to talk to high level guys. Fortunately, I'm kind of in a position where I know people that know people. So like this, we can make it happen. So I just want to keep doing it. I don't want to have any secrets either. Like I'm obviously not like the most accomplished wrestler, but like I've learned a lot over the last 21 years in the sport. So just kind of using what I've learned and then getting guys like you, getting guys like Reese on here that can help add value to that is something I want to do. And I have another guy on here who has a wealth of knowledge, Josh Nolan. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's really knowledgeable and we kind of do stuff together like during the week, Instagram lives and stuff like that. And I know it's been fun. I don't know where it's gonna go, but like something I definitely want to keep doing. So yeah, if you got any guys that want to hop on too, send them our way.
Dude, that's sweet. Honestly, like let's compare notes. If you got like it's a small world, I'll definitely whatever I can connect you to, let me know. And if you need help with anything, let me know too. And I'd love to kind of pick your brain on how you guys are doing things. I think like the way I started this, like my brother's got a podcast. He's had a podcast for I don't know 5 years now, and they do really well with theirs. And I was like, hey, what editing software do you use? What mics do you use? And then slowly we figured it out on our own, and now it's like be like, hey, have you tried this? And now we're kind of helping each other with stuff. So it's been cool. And I think one of the things that I didn't realize with a podcast, like the network effects of it are super cool. It's really cool to meet new people. Like obviously Wyatt, I met you but like meeting you guys, talking to you guys more and like just connecting with people is really cool. And you never know who you get to. Like we had the CEO of Spartan on ours. We had a Wall Street analyst. It was like the top Wall Street analyst. He just won it again this year. He's a power lifter. We got ex NFL players that won Super Bowls. Like you just randomly, like a friend of a friend knows somebody. And I don't know, it's cool. People have really cool stories and it's fun to kind of dig into their lives. And yeah, maybe we can collaborate or do something in the future because I'm a big fan. And I think the best things start by you just kind of a passionate thing and then slowly builds.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I won't take like too much credit because Wyatt's really been like running the show on this thing. Like he's been like the gung ho about everything. I've just been like helping here and there, but I would definitely say like yeah, like when we wanted to do it, it was like we don't have the fanciest equipment. Like we're just broke college kids. Like But we were just like, it'd be fun, you know, like it's a good idea, and I feel like we'd have a lot of fun with it. We haven't had like obviously the most amount of time since we're in season, but it would be really cool, you know, once we have more time, maybe like a little more like money, maybe get a little more nicer equipment for things, kind of see maybe where it could go. But kind of like how you said earlier, it's just a hobby. It's for fun. We're just having fun with it.
That's
You know,
awesome.
what
I
also
mean,
surprised me is how expensive all podcast stuff is. Dude, it's crazy.
the thing is though, you buy once, you cry once, it's done. You
Yeah,
know, like
Yeah.
true that.
and and honestly, I'm such a big fan. I don't do this well, so I need to take my own advice. But like, um, don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Mhm.
Like you're saying, just start, just do it. You'll slowly get better at stuff. You'll slowly figure stuff out. Um, and I don't know, there's times I definitely am like, I don't want to do this. That sounds like a huge undertaking. But just doing it wrong is how you learn how to do it right and you get better at it. And it's better than not doing it. Like build the volume up, build the consistency. So I think that's what we're kind of trying to do. Like when we started, we're like, hey, our podcast is going to suck for the first 100 episodes. Let's get to 100 episodes. Like, let's prove we can do one a week for 2 years straight. And then we'll reevaluate like how do we make this better and slowly, get better at it. So we're not there yet, but I feel like we're on a similar path as you guys. We're trying to, just slowly get a little bit better every day, and it's been fun. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what
But
happens.
none of us know what the hell we're doing.
The
That's
process
everybody
of
in the
figuring it
world.
out.
All right, last question, then we'll let you go.
Okay.
This is from Instagram. Uh,
Okay.
who's the most handsome NCAA wrestling champion in history, and why is it you? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
Who asked you that question?
I can't say.
Hey, that was nice. Whoever asked that, let me know. We'll send them some Iron Summit swag.
If
Um,
you sign up for
dude.
Iron Summit, you can become as handsome as Ryan Deakin.
Nah, dude, that's funny. I got a question for you guys.
Yeah,
All right. So, how did you guys get into wrestling?
go ahead, Mogul.
So, long story short, my dad like did it for like a year in high school and he hated it. So when I was like, I think I was 9, they ran me through like every sport because I was just like a crazy kid. Like I just wanted to be all over the place. So I went through everything like baseball, basketball, soccer, like I did it all. And like I loved them all. And my dad was like, well, if we've already tried everything, like let's just throw him in wrestling. You'll probably hate it, but at least we'll know if like he hates it or not. I went in there. I sucked so bad. Like I just got whooped, I guess. My dad told me I got whooped for like an hour and a half by like all these little kids. And I came off the mat and I told him at the end of practice that was the most fun I'd ever had. So I was like 9 or 10 and I
You're a
chose wrestling. I
psycho.
mean, yeah, I mean, I did. Obviously, I played baseball like growing up too. And I still stuck with some other sports while I was in my youth because I think that's important. But yeah, I just told my dad I loved it and I was so bad at it. I was like, compared to all the other sports, I was just the worst and I loved it. So that's how I got into it.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So I have an older brother. I think he's the same age as you. He's the really good friends with the Pinkerman family, the one you guys.
Really? Okay, yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He started when he was like 5 or 6, so I was 2 or 3, and I was just begging to like get in there and go with him. My mom never would let me, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but she finally let me loose at some tournament. I never practiced before. I weighed 28 pounds. I won the whole tournament,
Dude, my dog weighs more than you did when you started.
and I never looked back, man. Like I played other sports as well, like
Yeah,
throughout elementary school and stuff, but I was 5'3" and 98 pounds as a freshman in high school. So wrestling kind of found me. I didn't really fit in any other sports. So I mean, I kind of got hooked on it in high school and 24 and still doing it. So
I love it, dude. That's
Living the
awesome.
life.
Wrestling's a great sport. I think we need more wrestlers. Like I don't know. You got to be kind of sick and twisted to like it because
crazy.
it sucks, but it's like it's such a fun, rewarding sport. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah.
You can say that now because you're out of it.
But like looking back, some of the best times are like just, you're cutting weight, you're dying, and you're like your buddy says something stupid and you just laugh for 10 minutes. You're like, I don't know, playing pranks in hotels when you're supposed to be sleeping on a wrestling trip or something, just stupid stuff. Like it's awesome. Um, and you learn to work really hard and, get good at the mundane, like drill the same thing over and over and over. That's how you get good at anything in life. And it's not fun, but it's a great way to get to where you're trying to be and get good at something. So I don't know. I think the life skills are unmatched. I think all sports are good, but obviously a little biased. I think wrestling's probably the best one.
think I probably agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Well, if you got anything else, go ahead. I mean, shoot for it, I guess. We don't
No,
have
I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm hoping Tony Shunky watches this. Just got to give a major shout out that I don't even know what I'm gonna say about you, Shunk, but Shunk's the man. Couldn't be here because he can't figure out how to turn on a computer. Um, but maybe you guys can get him on it some point.
If I can say one nice thing about Tony Shunky is he makes spectacular athletes out of his sons.
Yeah.
They are freaks. That's what I can say. And he's pretty funny. I'll give him that too.
Tony's a great guy. Dude, he took us all over the country growing up. We'd pack in his little stalker van and, just drive for hours and hours. And I think I learned to be tough going to his room, Colorado Elite growing up. It's in like a garage, man. And it was a metal garage, like a huge garage. It gets so hot in there. And we'd be like 10 years old doing 500 burpees, running around. And I don't know. He'd probably be in jail if he did it today, but it was amazing, man. Like seriously, I think he changed so many lives doing that, and he's still coaching and such a selfless thing. So yeah, not that's I'm done saying nice things about Tony, but great dude.
Shout out to Tony.
Yeah, I was
He's
gonna say, shout out Tony.
definitely barefoot somewhere, probably yelling at someone. But no, we wouldn't have made this happen without him. So
Yeah,
I don't know
he's the man.
if he'll stay awake for all 47 minutes we recorded, but if he can, thank
Just
you
send
so
him just send him the highlight clips.
Somebody clip that.
Yeah, just make sure he gets the plug at the end, the shout out. Make sure he
Nah,
sees that one.
he's got to watch the whole episode to get that. That's not he doesn't get the shortcut.
All right.
But I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And I'll be watching, guys. Good luck this year. And I'm
Thank
serious.
you.
Once you guys are done, let me know. I'd love to send you guys some lifting plans. And if I could ever be helpful, let me know. I'm around.
Awesome. Appreciate it so much,
Yeah,
Ryan.
thank you so much.
Sweet. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.